What is going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. With me, as always, co-pilot in this thing is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on, guys?
Yes. No, man, it got really cold. It's all of a sudden got cold today.
Well,
at least in LA.
Like, well, yesterday, true, but it was one of those like yesterday while I was at work because I was outside most of the day, and it just kept like the clouds just kept getting darker and darker, and it kept getting colder.
Yeah.
And
like
actually,
it's like it's like Independence Day, when the alien ships come through the atmosphere and there's like all those clouds.
Oh man!
But yes, let's get this conversation started. So yes, kind of surprise weather we've been having here in sunny Southern California. But
lack of sunny.
Yeah, but I mean, truthfully, I don't mind it so much.
Are you a cold weather person or hot? Like, or do you like?
Yeah, I'm a cold weather person.
Oh,
just because.
God. I knew there was going to be something that we weren't going to like about each other, Andy.
Shut up. Whatever. It's just because I naturally run hot, and so.
I like warmer weather.
Even in temperate weather, I lift my arm and then I start sweating beads.
That is true. You do sweat quite a bit.
Yeah. So. I mean, because I think I just kind of naturally run hot, so I'm just more I just like cooler weather better. I prefer it more than summer. Although I do don't get me wrong, I do love summer. I do appreciate summer and and all the wonderful things that go with it, like vacations and backyard barbecues and bikinis and all that good stuff.
That's all the those are the fun parts of summer that I enjoy.
Right.
But I just for whatever reason, I mean, sometimes with it being like cooler or I do enjoy that every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I get cold really. Once my feet get cold, that it's game over from there because I just feel like ugh. But it's but right now it's fine. I've been inside all day, so I had my warm sweater and all that good stuff. So I've just been hanging out, playing games, watching. Let's see, I've been watching a show that. Well, I'm trying to get caught up on a show that I.
What show are you watching?
Started watching. I'm watching a show called Into the Badlands.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know.
I guess
how do you like it?
The third season. I actually really like it. I think it's interesting so far.
Was it? Is it one of those post-apocalyptic? Let me just say something real fast. From the previews or the commercials that I saw on TV advertising this show, it looked like. What did it look like to me? It looked like Mad Max mixed with Kung Fu mixed with Walking Dead.
Well, it is an AMC show, so
so there has to be some sort of apocalyptic element to it.
There is, but it's almost like a post-apocalyptic, because the society has completely shifted. It's kind of more of a feudal society that they live under, and so it's kind of this. It is Earth, and there's still remnants of our civilization,
right? Hence the motorcycles.
Yeah, but it's like,
Shoot.
yeah, I wouldn't know how to. Yeah, it's definitely a very kung fu element and Mad Max element to it, but at the same time, I don't know if I would necessarily put it as like a super post-apocalyptic thing. It's just more of a, like I said, it's like a modern feudal like society almost. And I could be wrong. It could be very like super post-apocalyptic show. But from how I'm seeing it so far, it's been more of kind of like this like modern day feudal society. But it's pretty interesting. The story is interesting so far. I finished rewatching season 1 because I watched it when it was on the air, and I'm getting caught up on season 2. I haven't watched, and season 3 has just started. Like they're on episode 2, so I'm trying to get caught up so I can catch up to the show. But it's pretty good so far. If you like a lot of action, this is definitely a show for you.
Let's see.
And the acting is like pretty decent too.
Who's in it? Anybody I know?
I don't think anybody big, except for like the main character, by the character of Sunny. I think is Daniel Wu, and I think he played in I think he played in one of like the Yip Man series, or one of the Yip Man movies, but I don't remember.
Donnie Yen though?
If that was him. No, but like it was like another. He played another. Not Donnie Yen was in those, but it was like
but the one like character. Donnie Yen, because there have been other.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He's been in. I know he's been in like a bunch of other stuff. I just can't like think of what he's been in. But everyone else is kind of like more of a. I don't really recognize them from anything else.
Let's see. Okay. So far you're enjoying it though, right?
Yeah.
Is it one of those that you definitely recommend to people, or?
Yeah, I so far I would say I recommend it. If you like a good kind of well, I wouldn't say it's really a political drama, but kind of like the people vying for power. Like if you like those type of dramas, that's there. If you like a good action, that's there. If you like a lot of like mystery and trying to solve like what the solve those mysteries, that's there for you too. So there's a little bit for everybody. So that's what I've been doing today. I've nothing super productive. I still need to wash dishes, so that's on the horizon. But yeah, I've mainly been I got to do that too, and my bathroom, and
you gotta clean your room. You gotta take a hold of your life and honor your archetypal father.
Yeah. I just man, it's crazy because I work so much. Like I've but like man, when I get like that day off, it's so rare now that I'm just exhausted. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah, that makes
like
sense.
I barely like wanted to, I barely wanted to like make like lunch for myself, but I end up having like ramen and like rice and kim. That's pretty much what I had for lunch.
I get it because sometimes I let my place go to shambles a little bit, and even though I'm not terribly busy, but I just don't want to get to it for some reason.
Yeah, it's just
just one of those things that you have to, you have to get, you have to tackle, but it's just easier to put
Like,
off.
exactly. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, a show that I've been watching, or I've been, watching for a while is the show called Expanse.
Oh, what's that
The
about?
Expanse is based. It's set in the future. Uh, the Earth has kind of come together more or less under the governance of the UN, and then humans have colonized Mars, and they, and they're like independent. So so Mars is like it used to be an Earth colony, but now it's it's inhabited by former descendants of Earth people, and then there's also another group of people that live in like the asteroid belt, and in the asteroid belt is where the people of Earth and Mars have decided to get majority, or to get like a lot of like their resources, precious metals, and ice and all this other stuff. It's really quite interesting because it's kind of like it's political, it's dramatic, it's suspenseful, and there is a sense of like science fiction woohoo to it, but otherwise it's very grounded.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so yeah, so it's yeah. I mean, if if you're not watching enough TV, then yeah, I'd recommend The Expanse.
Okay, I'll have to put that in my queue. Yeah, there's a few shows that because I've been, there's I only have so many hours to work with, so
Right.
like a lot of times, like the shows I want to watch that I haven't gotten to yet, and then I still have this huge like backlog of games that I'm trying to work with too, and like some of those games that just there's so much to do, and like they're some of them are like 200 plus hour games that I'm playing too, so it's like, oh man. So it's like it's like I really want to play this, and then something new comes out, and it's like I kind of want to get that and play that. So
Right.
there's
Yeah.
just
It's very time consuming. You really
what
have to. It takes a lot of your
yeah,
focus.
what I should do is like have like a schedule of like, all right, when I get home for like Wednesday is like this game, and then like Thursday is this game. It's kind of
Or maybe you should break it up. Like every day is a different thing. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday are video games. Tuesday, Thursdays are TV.
there we go. That's maybe I should do that.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that way it's like kind of it's simpler, and then like you're able to tackle more things.
True, true. The shoot, what was the there's something else. Oh yeah, and then there's always like sports to watch too. Like watched like the NASCAR race on Sunday. I was mad that the because I watch all the like the lower tier series too, because I watch a lot of racing.
Mm-hmm.
And the recording I had for the Saturday race for the lower tier series, the Xfinity series, it didn't record for some reason, so I ended up watching that today because they rebroadcast it on YouTube, so I'm able to watch the whole race.
Mm-hmm.
It was so that was good. But yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm finding. I mean, I do. It's weird because I'm watching less and less TV and watching more and more YouTube content.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, well, partly because I'm doing research because we have our channel, we're doing this, and so a lot of it sometimes is research because I'm seeing like what people are talking about, what seems to be working for some channels, how could it be applied to our channel, and all that
Right.
other kind of drudgery that goes into producing uh, content on YouTube, and so it's just one of those things that you know you have to do.
Yeah, but honestly, there's a lot of great stuff on YouTube as well because
Yeah.
I'm subscribed to a bunch of different channels and like for me there's a lot of different like gaming stuff that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I listen to some of the more like political channels or like news type channels.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the other great thing is too is I like going back and like what for me like sports wise I like to go back and watch like old races. So I've been watching races that I didn't really get a chance that I missed as a kid. So I've been recently I've been watching old NASA. Well, right now it's the Camping World Truck Series, but I've been watching like they used to be the Craftsman Truck Series. So I've been watching all their like old races and um, so it's kind of like I'm watching something for the first time, even though it's 20 years old. So that's been pretty interesting.
Wow, that has got to be the
Uh,
whitest thing you've ever said.
maybe, but no, it's and then yeah, I've been trying to listen to like, and then now we also it's not even just YouTube. Like now, like there's so many like different like podcasts out there with people doing different things, talking
Mm-hmm.
about different stuff. And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
I've been
they're like uh, health and fitness podcasts. There's just I don't know, kind of news podcast. There's there if there's a hobby or interest, there's a podcast for it.
yeah,
And
I've been trying to like because I mean I have a few that I've finished like listening to a whole bunch of,
mhm.
but so I've been trying to kind of search for some other ones that are really good, but like they're kind of like a long series, so I can just kind of like oh let's see what
Yeah, so you just get to
that
them
way
as you will.
yeah exactly, so that way like I have like a because I like to binge like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so that way like I'm not like I don't really want to wait until like next week. I want to be able to like listen to a whole bunch, and then like his new stuff comes out, I can listen to when I get there. I do the same thing with shows too.
Right. Here's something that just came to my mind. Is binging the new gluttony?
It could be, yeah.
If you think about, if you just like, because usually when you think of gluttony, you only think of it as like a food thing. And I mean, I don't know, for those of you who didn't catch last week's episode, we talked, we seem pretty gluttonous, talking about food and all of our like favorite places to eat around LA and such. But just thinking about the act of like binge watching something, of just being in one place and constantly taking in or consuming something. You know, uh, it's hard for me not to categorize that as gluttony.
I
Uh,
also, well, in one sense, okay, I could see it as, yeah, if that's like all you're doing with that
mm,
information, or like if you're just like taking in stuff and that's all you're doing is taking in,
mm-hmm,
yeah, I would say that's, I think you're on the right track. But, especially when it comes to like, anything like, something like news or, um, like history or something like that's actually like pretty useful to use. I see it as a tool. Like, okay, here's this information, and yeah, it enriches my mind, it shapes my mind, but it also, I think, is a useful tool in being able to go out and share that same information with other people and help them to help shape their minds as well.
Well, then I guess,
and I kind of see that as a way, like what I'm doing with it is like I'm not just taking stuff in for the sake of taking stuff in, but like I want to be able to use those things to enrich the people around me.
right. But I guess I was more coming at it in the context of just of television, because
Oh yeah,
just kind of
I'm
like
not watching
the
Into
kind
the
of the more
Badlands.
entertainment aspect of the
True.
binge, as opposed to like, oh, this is like let's learn about thermodynamics and that kind of stuff. It's like,
You're right.
that
True.
that of course has there's more nobler intent in what you were describing, but I was just more fascinated on the cultural phenomenon of binge watching TVs, and I think I think one of the like tip of the spears was when Netflix starts their streaming service, and then they also because then and then first it was just movies, and then you could watch like like trilogies of a certain franchise, and then all of a sudden they had TV shows, and then you could watch seasons or like an entire series of TV shows from like your past or whatever, and then they had like original content, and then they would drop the entire season on one day, and people would just like start watching it, start watching the entire
true.
series in one night, and so.
Yeah, I'm not watching Into the Badlands for any like noble purpose other than
Right?
for
Yeah.
myself. That's very true.
I mean. Yeah, I mean, every so often, I'll break open the complete series of Battlestar Galactica, and I'll enjoy myself, or I'll crack open the full like miniseries of Band of Brothers, which I really like. Band of Brothers is awesome.
Did you well, speaking of Band of Brothers, did you watch the other one, The Pacific? Did you watch that one too?
Yeah, I did watch it.
Yeah, I really like. Well, I like both a lot.
Actually,
I
don't know. I like Band of Brothers a little bit more than Pacific.
That's true. Yeah,
and I think that might be
that.
a little bit of a bias because because we just know like a little bit more of like about the European theater of World War II as opposed to the
That's
Pacific.
true.
And so I'm not familiar with the stories or the battles mentioned in the Pacific. The TV show, not necessarily the ocean.
Right. Right. No, the speaking to that actually is something else that I'm well, the one thing I like about those two is I really like the you get a little bit of the obviously the drama involved too. There is a little bit of historical drama, but you actually get like some of the historical background behind like people that experienced those like war. So that's always like that was always something that I really enjoyed.
Right. Like that,
but just,
I was gonna say like that one guy after he came back, he took a taxi back to his parents' place, and he was gonna pay for the cab, but then the cab driver, who was also a vet, but he fought in the European theater. He's like, no, just keep it. It's like, I know you guys went through, and he was like just kind of doing like a comparative, and like they were like in like the Marines and stuff, and and the soldiers that were in the Pacific, they're like island hopping, and there wasn't like infrastructure as there was in like the in Europe. And so when the soldiers in Europe got leave or liberty, they were able to go to a nice hotel, with sheets and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to the guys in the Pacific who were
They didn't have any of that.
who were fighting off rats, basically, for their leave, it was just like kind of away from the front lines, but then they're still like fighting, they're still on an island fighting off rats.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say to that point too is there's certain like we know like like World War II, we know like a lot of the major bullet points of like what's important about like about the war, like some of the major battles and the time frame and who was all involved.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean obviously the Germany was the the major one of the major players in World War II, but we don't really know a lot about like why Italy was involved. We don't really hear about any of the battles that happened against Italy that were in like I think northern they were battling in like northern Africa. We don't know a lot about those battles.
Oh yeah, Rommel.
Yeah, we don't know. To be honest, we don't really know a whole lot about the whole, like I said, the Pacific shone a light on what was really going on over in the Pacific theater about that. And then, to be honest, we don't really know a whole lot about the Japanese warriors and how there was a lot of stuff that Japan did leading up to and during the war that were it was pretty horrific, to be honest.
Yeah,
but
and them like painting in their, what was that?
Oh, what I was also going to say is like, and we, there's not a lot talked about how you go from World War I, where they were an ally, to to the U.S. and the Allied powers, and they switched over, and so it's there's so you connect like World War II, but it's like you have to look back to like connect the dots from World War I, and that's a war that not a lot of people talk about as much anymore.
True. Yeah, because the Japanese, they felt that they're treated unfairly. They're treated more like the junior partners. In like kind of like sent to the kids' table. Whereas America and like other, like some of the bigger or major European countries were kind of like slicing up everything else.
Well, I think they felt like they deserved more of a speaking table at the League of Nations, which was a huge disaster. But they felt like they deserved.
Thanks a lot, Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah, they felt like they deserved a lot more respect than they were given to be more of a player, and that just didn't happen.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting how things in history get mixed up and whatnot. With that, or we kind of like have missing bits of information where we don't really hear a lot about it. Now obviously popular in the news is the whole idea with the potential unification of Korea, or at least peace between North and South Korea. But
the like an actual peace as opposed to what we have now as an armistice.
Yeah, but
a cease of hostilities towards the two countries. But
right, and what I was saying is that a lot of people don't really understand what the Korean War was all about, or B, even how there came to be a North and South Korea, and like how that all got started. No one really talks about that a lot. It's kind of that like the forgotten conflict. That's
I mean,
Very
yeah, it
important.
was the
Not
third.
only
Yeah, it was the tie. It was the tie. So
yeah, it was the kind of the forgotten conflict that's important to not only the United States, but it's important to Korea as well.
hmm but yeah, I
Well, I
mean,
think one of the
at
big
this point, reunification, I wouldn't recommend it, or I wouldn't
no,
necessarily want it to happen because, well, one because you know, reunification means different things to both sides. And of course, and Kim Jong Un, thinks of reunification under him, not
yeah, that's
and so that's number one. And then number two is, North Korea's economy is such crap that let's say, okay, let's for the sake of this example, let's say that Kim Jong Un gets taken out and Korea gets, Korea gets reunified. The amount of money that the South would have to pour in to build up infrastructure, to build, for welfare, for medical treatments and benefit, it'll be too cost prohibitive, and it would just lead. It's gonna make the the South resent the North.
true. It's one of those things where it would take several generations just to even get it back to being functional.
No, yeah. It'll take several. Yeah, it'll take several generations just to get it to 1970.
Yeah,
North Korea,
they're
that
pretty
is.
much
Yeah, to get North Korea
yeah,
to even like 1970.
yeah. I mean, they're in the Stone Age at this point.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's man, it's you think about it, it's like, oh, it hasn't been going on that long, but then you look at it, it's like it's 70 years almost that this has been going on. It just and each dictator that's taken over North Korea has just made things worse and worse.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, but like what you were saying is, the North has always wanted unification, just under the guise of the Kim dynasty.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's their idea of reunification. So it's not a okay, let's come together and then we'll have an election to see who the people really want. It's like, no, that's not. That'd be nice, but it's not. That's not how it's gonna go. It would go down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But I mean, what is it? Yeah, Kim Jong Un has to like.
I don't trust that guy.
Well, obviously, but if here's the thing, here's like the dangerous thing. Like the reason why the North has kept up this idea of them being still at war with like America or like the West is so that they're focusing on like, oh, we have an enemy out there, so we have to like we have to sacrifice everything for the state who will protect us, as opposed so they're distracted by this threat, by this perceived threat, so they don't have the time to realize that that they're starving, that they have all these diseases, and they can't feed their children.
Right. Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, wasn't that what was it during the was it the State of the Union address where they had that North Korean
the defector.
The defector that like he was so like exhausted from starvation that he like collapsed on train tracks and lost his arm and leg or something like that.
What? Was that happen? I thought you were talking about the one that that made that mad dash across the the border and was like shot at, and he had the like I don't know, something foot long tapeworm in his gut.
No, I wasn't talking about that guy.
I mean, I know there was another one. I'm just not specific. I'm not just certain. I'm just not certain of the specifics of the second one or the other one.
Yeah, no. There was the defector, and I could be remembering this wrong, but like he was so exhausted from starvation and from like the trek that he had to make that he collapsed on train tracks and ended up losing his like leg. I think he might have lost his arm too, or whatever. But I know he lost the leg.
I do remember Trump calling out someone in the gallery, and he did like raise up a crutch.
Yeah, so you know what? It might have been just his leg that he lost,
Maybe.
but it was just the yeah. It's just that's crazy. And well, for one, it's like that like people desire freedom, but like it's just like what people are willing to do for freedom.
I mean, yeah, that soldier that was like shot up and had the tapeworm in his gut. He was an elite soldier.
Yeah,
he was an elite soldier. So he should have been getting a fairly decent share of like the pie, or he should have been pretty well taken care of. But he was malnourished. Right. He was malnourished, and he had a parasite in his body.
Yeah, pretty ill. Yeah, gross.
Yeah. So anyone pushing communism or socialism is like, yeah, that guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was happening during the course of the Soviet Union. Although that was happening for a strong majority in China. It's probably still happening in some places in China, I would imagine. But the crazy thing is that you see those stories, and I mean everyone's heard like these stories, and then you look at like during the Olympics when they're celebrating these people and like how graceful, and they're stealing the show. It's like, give me a break. Like, why are we giving any sort of praise to these leaders who are so horrific to their people? It's not like they're also like starving and like the country is just in shambles. Yeah. It's it's like they're it's like the Kim family and those that are close to them are doing fantastic, and then the rest of the country is like starving to death. Yeah, it's so yeah. Hey, let's celebrate that. They're awesome.
I mean, that's what happened in Russia. They took they and it's happening in South Africa too. They come, they steal the land from the farmers who actually know how to grow the food and give it to a bunch of people who don't know how to grow food, and then all of a sudden there's a famine. It's like, how did this happen? But that's exactly what's happening in South Africa right now with like the whole what is it? They're basically taking away white farmers' land from them without like compensation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's horrific over there.
Yeah, and it's like and like the media is not talking about it, and it's like.
And in some cases, they're killing those people.
Yeah. There's like stories of fathers being just being gunned down, and mothers being hacked to death or being raped in front of their children, and like, their children being hacked to death or raped or whatever, and just like just like the most grisly of like you think how could people like still be this way? I mean, I hate to pull that card. It's like, well, it's current year. How can this still be happening?
It's 2018, guys. Come on.
I know, 2018. That is so 1918.
Yeah, the 20th century was the bloodiest centuries known to man. I think the 21st century is going to be.
Yeah, and that's like including all of the wars that mankind has ever fought.
Yeah.
Yeah, this lone, the past, that lone century is the most bloodstained in human history.
And that's like when I hear people complaining about well, we're going to be coming up on this is a great segue of people complaining about innocuous stuff that really has nothing to do with anything.
Mm-hmm.
But let's have an outrage for it.
Mm-hmm.
Is the story of that girl who wore that dress for prom, and it just
the Cheongsam, and it was I forget whose video I watched on this, but they made an interesting point that this, like, of course, like this Chinese guy, Jeremy Lam, he comes out and I say, oh, how dare you reduce my culture to a costume, and he's like, he's basically equating this dress to like a nun's habit, there's some like religious significance or spiritual significance to that dress.
It's like
it's a dress. It's a how much spiritual significance it had. Do you remember Rush Hour 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember when they go to the massage parlor?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the proprietor, Mama-san, is wearing a Cheongsam.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how sacred it is. That freaking low key hookers are wearing it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's crazy because I remember, what was it? It was probably a couple years ago. Who was that basketball player that fuck, what was his name? Well, he used to be on the Knicks, and he's bounced around on quite a few teams now. But it wasn't Jeremy Lamb, but it was
Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
Well, he had the cornrows.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and he got there was a huge firestorm for that. It's like, what? I thought they were cool, and like I wanted to celebrate the culture, and it's
Finish your thought.
No, well, I was saying it's like it's that was kind of like his point was that it was about like celebrating the culture. And then I mean, you even had there's people who've been they're wearing like kimonos, and they go and ask Japanese people like, oh, what do you think about this? Like, oh wow, they really Americans are wearing our stuff and they like it. Like, that's really cool that they're celebrating our culture. I hope to see more of this.
Right. No, but backing up on that Jeremy Lin thing. There was a basketball player who was like kind of calling him out, but then he pointed out, when he pointed out, it's like, dude, you have Chinese writing on your arm.
Right.
Tattoo.
That was the other side of that story.
And it's like, it's like, who the hell are you to say that I'm appropriating a culture? You're appropriating my culture.
It's showing how stupid it is.
Yeah, that's how stupid it is. And I mean, going back to that girl in her prom dress, I forget who pointed this out, and I apologize. This isn't like an original thought that I had, but they pointed out like that this guy, the one on Twitter, Jeremy Lamb, his profile picture is of him in like a baseball hat, a t-shirt, and like basketball shorts or whatever, and so it's like, well, you're appropriating Western culture, because you're not wearing like a traditional Chinese shirt or whatever, and you're not sporting that long braid. You're sporting a short haircut. You know,
Yeah.
back in the day in Chinese culture, you're a man, a guy would grow out his hair and have it in a braid and stuff. And then you're also appropriating a Western name, Jeremy. That's not a traditional Chinese name.
Exactly.
So
it's, well, like I said, I mean, these are, to be honest, these are made up problems. Like
they're stupid.
They're trying to, like, translate these things into, like, saying like they're like a blackface, which even like in the case of like blackface, it wasn't as a way, when that was super popular, the majority of people that were doing it weren't necessarily like racist per se. Like,
Right, yeah.
they were
It was
celebrating Black culture.
Yeah, it was an appreciation.
Yeah. Like, you look at like one of the more famous guys, Al Jolson. The guy was not a racist. He really he was celebrating Black culture. Like, even that was in his own words. He's like, he actually really enjoyed. He had like a lot of Black friends, and like he stood up for them. In a lot of ways.
I mean,
let's I'll use the that's like the horrible evil, and it's like, but you're saying that, like, oh, wearing this dress is akin to that. That's ridiculous. And this is where it's like, this is this like made up fake problem, when compared to, you have people that are forcibly being starved to death in these socialist countries. You have people who are being brutally murdered and raped as their land is taken away from them just because of their skin color. And so many other like horrible atrocities that you guys don't want to talk about. But this is where we're going to take our stand. I mean, come on.
Yep. Yeah, it's just and it's like that's how culture is spread, and that's how culture is built. Because I mean, okay, let's kind of take let's take the example of Marco Polo. Marco Polo went to China. He brought back some stuff. And purportedly one of them was the recipe for noodles. And without that, Italians would not have pasta.
Right.
So why you appropriating, bro?
Well,
I don't know what you were eating before, but you better give back Chinese people their noodles.
That's what's crazy to me, is because, okay, so you don't want people learning more about someone else's culture and learning from that, and God forbid actually liking that culture and enjoying what makes that culture fun. I mean, isn't that like kind of the whole damn thing that they're fighting for? That, like, oh, we need to have people representing and all this other stuff. It's like, no, you don't. You just it's kind of where it's this crazy segregation that they want, that we're trying to go back to the Jim Crow era, but we're going to make it like even more extreme than that was. Like, everyone just has to stick to their own culture, their own like people. Again, it's like, I mean, that kind of defeats the whole point of what we're supposed to be about.
Yeah, I mean, there was calls for separate racially divided or racially segregated dorm rooms. Harvard, one of their graduating classes wanted an all black graduation ceremony, or only black graduation ceremony.
If this was suggested like 10, 15 years ago, like the horrible like uproar that would have created.
Yeah. No, of course it wouldn't. Yeah, if it was like 20 years ago, it wouldn't have been allowed to stand.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh yeah.
Now it's just like, oh yeah, of course. It's like, but why?
It's
like,
it's stupid.
And I mean, what is it? It's entitlement. Is what it really is. It's it's what I don't know if you saw it, but that clip of Candace Owen, kind of confronting those Black Lives Matter kind of activists at her talk in UCLA, and she was saying how that that none of the people who are protesting her have ever felt like 1/10 the racism that like their grandparents' generation faced.
Yeah.
That they never lived through Jim Crow. They never knew a world with segregated bathrooms, and yet they're clamoring as if they have. They're protesting as if they're going through that right now, and it's
Yeah.
kind of and it's and you know what it made me think of? It made me think of the concept of stolen valor. And being as a former service member, I think you're pretty familiar with that concept.
Yeah.
And then if anyone pretended that they were a vet, or they pretended that they served or whatever, they get punched in the face.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there's always those stories that you hear too, like, uh, even in like people who are did actually serve, but they'll put on like medals and stuff that they didn't earn.
Right.
Dude, you don't want to. Yeah. There's so many stories of people of young assholes like wearing seal pin, like that they're actually in
The
the seals.
trident.
And it's like they know that guy was never in the seals. And it's like, dude, don't do that. Um,
Yeah,
you're pretty much
exactly.
like shitting on the legacy of everyone that like stood before you.
Exactly, and that's what these race baiters and hustlers are doing. They're trampling over uh, the legacy of their grandparents, or maybe even some of their parents. That
Yeah.
they blazed that their grandparents or parents, that they blazed a trail for them, so that they would never that they wouldn't have to feel they never have to do, or they never have to experience that kind of discrimination, that kind of treatment for their kids. And now their kids are the ones who are clamoring for that treatment, or I mean, at least they're the ones clamoring for segregation. They're the ones who are what is it who are turning around and and treating others, treating their supposed enemies, the way that their grandparents were dealt with.
Well, I think a
And
lot of it also has to do with people don't feel like accomplished like with what they're doing or whatever.
yeah,
And so you look, and in a way they kind of look to the past in a weird way, and they're
yeah,
like, wow, like these people did all these great things. Well, that's, I want to be like that. And so they create these fake problems so that they feel like they're making you know um this huge contribution to something where it's like, no, you're not. You're making fake problems and like
mhm,
saying that you're a champion.
yeah,
It's that idea of, hey, let me give myself a gold medal so I can like feel like I did something, when in reality you've done nothing.
yeah. And that's why if you go to like their websites, you'll see all of their pictures are in black and white, and it's like,
Yeah,
why? Like, why? We live in the 21st century. There's such a thing as color photography. Why are your pictures in black and white? It's to evoke the history, that they so desperately, wish they were a part of. I was like, oh, look at these black and white images of like the civil rights movements, and people, and people being blasted by fire hoses. We're just like that. Like, no, you're
yeah.
not.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, guys like Martin Luther King. He did something. Jackie Robinson. He did something. You have Larry Doby. He did something. Frederick Douglass did something. Harriet Tubman was a part of something. John Adams did something. You did nothing. Like, and that's okay. Like, it's fine. You don't. You can live off of the freedom of all the hard work that those people like paved the way for. There's I look today and there's nothing, there's no law or legislation that's on the books that's keeping anybody from doing these things.
True.
And the one thing is that our world is changing, and maybe like what worked 20, 30 years ago, that's not how people are going to be successful, like today. But it's okay to have like where we can live off of, the great work that these people have done. And sure, I'm pretty sure there's always going to be something that like we can do to like make our culture better or make the world a better place.
Well, this is what I say. Like, well, like, yes, as you're saying, like they could live, they enjoy the fruits of the labor that, their, parents or grandparents, provided for them. It's just like, you know what, do it. If you're gonna do that, then at least keep the streets clean. Or at least, after you're done eating that fruit, why don't you take that seed and put it in the ground.
Yeah, the other thing
save
is
some,
like,
put something away for the next generation, the ones coming after you.
Yeah, but the thing is like, there's actually real problems that like you could actually do something about. Like, we have a huge homeless crisis just in this state alone.
Right.
I mean, it's horrifically bad, and that's
I mean, I can't tell you how many homeless people that I see just just driving down the street where I live. It's just like, when did this happen? When did we allow such a thing to take place? This is America. This is the land of opportunities. This is the land where, if you had the motivation, the determination, you were able to become whatever you wanted.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think a big problem is that we have elected a local government. Because I'm just thinking about California right now, where it's right. Really bad here.
Oh yeah.
And we've elected a local government that has just pretty much like made it impossible for a lot of these people. Like, some who need help, that they're never gonna get the help that they need. It's never gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Or you have people who just can't afford to be here and they have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's not just like it's not a one thing. It's a bunch of things, but I think it starts with people voting for, it's like, oh well, they're gonna take care of me and I get like all these benefits.
Yeah,
that
what? I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is vote for you. Sign me up.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, they're not actually making the state a better place. Everyone's thinking about themselves and not thinking about like what's better for everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, the way. Yeah, I mean, like, the politicians have just hollowed out the middle class in this state, and so that now it's kind of it's extremes. You're either really really rich or you're really really poor, but there's no comfortable.
Right.
Just like it's just like you're either struggling or you're okay. That'll be about like the gradation from really really rich to really really poor. It's just like struggling and then doing okay. That'll be about the gradation, but there's no comfortable.
The something that I'm willing to, even if it doesn't necessarily benefit me like personally per se, but if I'd rather like vote for someone that's gonna make the majority of people or the majority of things better, even if it's not necessarily beneficial to me personally, because I am a believer in that a rising tide raises all ships. Yeah. And if the society is better as a whole, it makes a lot of other things a lot easier. People aren't. I think it makes it where not everyone's quite as selfish. And even as a country, like while there is a lot of selfishness, you see a lot of people, like especially in disasters, they come out and what can I do to help?
Yeah, there is a generous spirit, within Americans, that admittedly it does take like a little bit for it to come out, but it's there. It's there, and it can be built upon. But it's just not at the expense of
like you said, it's one of those things where if you're gonna get like up in arms about a dress that someone wore, that because they like the dress and B like the culture, get over it. Like that's not a problem. There's so many other things that are so much more important to get up in arms about that. I feel like this is just stuff to distract away from actual problems.
Of course it is. Of course it is. If people realized, how, it's kind of like the North Korea thing where they constantly, they keep them like starving, so they don't they keep them distracted with the idea that America's gonna nuke them, to the Stone Age, so that they don't realize that they're starving to death.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of don't know how to transition from there, but.
I'm trying to think if we should probably end on a lighter note.
Yes, exactly. I know. I was like, dun, 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 dun. It's like now.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else would be a lighter note to end on.
Oh man, this show is like nothing but extremes. It's like either something really light or something very heavy.
Right? It is. How should we end this, Andy? Like we need a good hearty laugh after this.
Big hearty laugh.
Okay, well let me ask this. Since today we were going to be talking about Infinity War. But due to some circumstances, I couldn't do that. I couldn't watch the movie. What do you think? Should I spend my money to watch it, or is it gonna be one of those, like, I'm gonna hate watch it, pretty much?
I liked it.
You liked it?
I liked it.
So on a range of Last Jedi to any other movie, how would you rate it?
I mean, well, it's a Marvel film, so it's not gonna be at the level of Last Jedi. Kevin Feige wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know how to talk about this unless and not like really talk, because I don't want to not necessarily spoil, but I don't want to necessarily maybe influence you one way or the other.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll just for now I'll just say I liked it. I liked it.
Okay.
And I liked it, and I definitely recommend watching it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Okay. And then
I trust your judgment, Andy.
Okay. Yeah. Don't ever question my judgment, man. Boy.
You're right. So I'm looking at this. So I can tell I'm hungry because now all I'm seeing is damn commercials for food. I have my TV on right now.
Right.
So there's
I can see
an
the
Arby's
flickering of
commercial with a barbecue brisket sandwich, which looked absolutely delicious.
From Arby's.
And then just before that was a Carl's Jr. commercial showing that like new burger that they just came out with like the pulled pork and like the big like thick burger or whatever. And now I'm seeing now it's a Pizza Hut commercial. Fuck.
Of course. Yeah, sometimes it's hard because there's a Carl's Jr. right down the street from me. So.
Me too. Like it's like I could if I wanted to do that, I could go like right now. Like 5 minutes.
You know, I'm trying to be good, but sometimes it's really
I know
hard.
I'm not. Yeah. Because let's see, all I have right now, I have cereal, I have stuff for sandwiches, and I have like ramen. So I might just do ramen. It's dinner time. I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm like, I was gonna wait till after.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I was gonna say if you didn't have dinner yet, then
that's why how I know I'm hungry is because now like it was like 3 food commercials in a row.
Yeah. Have you ever tried putting like a spoonful of miso in your ramen?
No, I haven't.
I hear good things.
You hear good things?
I hear good things.
Yeah, usually with like my ramen, like I'll throw in like egg. Oh, here's the Carl's Jr. commercial again. Awesome. It looks really good. They're making it look pretty fantastic.
Of course, but when you get it, you're just like, meh.
Well, at this point, it's like it would be fantastic.
If you're hungry enough, anything tastes good.
Yeah. But no, like my ramen, I put in egg, extra peppers, green onions, and yeah, that's usually like what I do to put. That's what I put in mine. Oh, God, that sounds so good.
Yeah, actually, my dad makes a pretty fancy ramen. He takes like the soup base that you get in the packet, and he kind of builds up on that. He makes like a broth from that, and like he throws in like some onion, and like he'll boil what is it, like an anchovy, like a couple of anchovies in it, and like take out the anchovies, just to build up like the umami, qualities.
Yeah, and then at the end, like with the cook at the end, like I'll like throw rice in there, and I'll just eat the rice with that.
Yeah, and kook for the non-Korean speaking people out there means soup.
Yeah, the broth.
Or it could be taken as a racial slur. Either or.
But it is actually a actual thing in Korean, so
yeah.
I'm not saying.
There are a lot of homophones in.
I'm appropriating Korean culture by saying stuff like that and being offensive at the same time. Because remember, I'm white, so every inclination I have is evil.
Of course. Of course. You say that like I didn't know. Of course I know this, and that's why I have to be here to check your white privilege.
I have all this able privilege. I have
able-bodied white privilege. Fuck.
Just get so many like strikes against me. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to deal with first.
Yes, I'm here to constantly check your privilege. Oh man. Oh,
there we go. I think
imagine if we were on the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine if we were on the other side. Jesus.
I'm so glad. Well, see, the thing is, if we were on the other side, there'd be no joy, and we probably would not talk about 90% of what we talk about.
Or we just like talk about the opposite and just talk about how awful Trump is.
True, and I'd have to be slitting my wrist constantly because I'm white, so I'm just had to bleed out the evil.
Right? Yeah, I'm picturing you in like a gimp suit.
Like one from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. Like, please, another.
I'm pretty sure there's some from that side that would think that's the appropriate thing for my people.
Yeah. But remember, it's okay to be white.
Oh, I have zero guilt. I think to me, like, well, first of all, Civil War ended 150 years ago. All those people are dead.
Mm-hmm.
The civil rights thing has been that's almost 60 some years old now. And yeah, so I mean that's been taken care of. And if we just look back at the Civil War, like where 600,000 white men died to free the slaves, I think I'm good. I think I paid my dues.
Right. Yeah.
And trust me, like my people, like of just looking at my like family history, I grew up from a long line of trailer trash that owned nothing. So, and we were Northerners. So,
there you go. Yeah, you were one of the good whites.
Yeah.
Could you possibly be a snow monkey?
Huh?
Because could you possibly be a snow monkey or have some snow monkey in you?
It's possible. I don't know.
That's a slight against Canadians.
No, I hope not. I hope I don't have any Canadian in me. Good Lord.
Okay. Yeah, because it's funny because I was watching Owen Benjamin and he was talking about he created like a racial slur for Canadians and he came up with snow monkey.
Yeah, that's or maple
like those maple sucking Zamboni riding Tim Horton loving bastards.
Yeah. There we go.
There you go. And they said it couldn't be done.
There we go. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yes, those maple syrup sucking Zamboni riding Tim Horton loving bastards.
With their floppy heads so full of lies.
Yeah, the floppy heads. Man, I kind of want to watch Super Troopers 2 now.
Oh yeah, I did see the trailer for that. When's that out?
It's out now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah,
well, it's definitely. Well, I was saying it's definitely not gonna outperform Infinity War anytime soon, but
yeah.
Never was trying to compete with them.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the first Super Troopers?
I have.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's a good, stupid, fun movie.
Exactly. Stupid fun. That's all I'm looking for. And I heard
mindless fun.
Yeah, and I heard getting people to do this movie wasn't all that hard either. I mean, they had like some pretty big cameos, like Rob Lowe's in it.
Yeah, that's
a pretty big get. I remember when they came out with Beer Fest, and me and my buddies we snuck in beers to go watch it.
Nice.
Yeah. What was it? We went and got beer. We went and got big gulps or super big gulps, and then we poured the beer into the super big gulps, and we walked into the theater.
Nice.
Yeah, I think and this was back when they were like less stringent about like the no outside food or beverage.
Right.
Yeah. That was the only way, and I just remember sitting in my seat like sucking down on some Guinness while watching Beer Fest.
Nice.
It always is.
You're drinking Guinness? Ugh.
Hey, it's not that bad.
God. Can't do it. I don't like, just.
Yeah, I know it's too thick and yada yada yada, but it's not bad. It's not bad.
It looks like sewage.
What?
It looks like sewage.
Well, I can't help how you perceive things, so.
Yeah.
But it's a fine beer, you know, and a fine fine substitute for food.
That's true. It is, liquid bread.
Yeah, pretty much. It is indeed.
All right, so next week, we're going to talk about Infinity War, because I will watch it this week.
Yes, and if we don't talk about Infinity War and you're heartbroken, remember, it's always Rob's fault.
True. Anything that you're going to be doing this week, Andy?
Not really. I mean, kind of deciding what I want to do for Cinco de Mayo. And yes, I'm going to be wearing...
That's right. That's Saturday.
Yeah, and I will be wearing a poncho and the most obnoxious sombrero you've ever seen.
Oh, you know what? I just realized, because we were going to film that day, so it's Cinco de Mayo. I guess we should postpone our filming.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes.
I just realized that. Yeah, that's Saturday.
Yeah, me too. Oh yeah. Oh, my camera froze.
That's not good.
Yeah, no, I'll be back. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Well, while you're fixing that, stuff that I have going on this week. Well, we're not filming on Saturday anymore, so there's that. Sunday, I'm going to be at a charity event. I'm going to be helping out at my parents' booth at the event, selling car care products. But it's for a good cause. It's the Rancho San Antonio Boys Home, and pretty much all the proceeds from this car show go to help out this boys home. And it's a bunch of kids who have are turning away from life of gangs and drugs and whatnot, and trying to do something with their do something with themselves. And they they do a great job with those kids. And a lot of those kids, they go out and they make something of themselves, and then they come back and they help out at that boys home. And it's kind of it's a good thing, man. It's getting making something out of these kids' lives, where otherwise that wouldn't happen.
There I am. Yes. Son of a diddly. It's just... Okay, so I'm gonna be really blown out then. Sweet! Okay, yeah, so that'll... yeah, that's, I'm gonna be working on some stuff the rest of this week, as well as try to figure out a place to go for Cinco de Mayo. But no firm plans yet.
Cool.
Yes. All right. Well, that will do it for us tonight. Thank you for joining us. As always, we'll be back next Tuesday, so don't forget, be there or be square. And don't forget to, subscribe and hit that bell notification, because the subscribe button means absolutely nothing anymore. It's just there. It's just there for show. Apparently, and so. Yeah, so if you want to get notified when we upload new videos or when we start the live stream, then you have to subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out Rob's show, Up by Up Down. The latest episode will be dropping this Thursday, so check that out. And also, don't forget to check out the other videos in our library at the Circle of Jerks channel page. What else do I have to say?
Oh, make sure to leave a comment if you like, and
yes, tell us,
respond to it.
Yes, exactly. Tell us, how great we are, or great we're doing, or how crappy we're doing, or just telling us to shut up already. Yeah.
Andy's still fishing for hate comments.
I know. Yeah. I mean, we got that one, but it was more of like it wasn't hate. It was more of like a legitimate criticism. And it wasn't necessarily towards us.
Yeah, that's true. So,
yeah.
Andy's still fishing for that hate comment. He's just going to say outlandish things until we get something.
Yeah, Taylor did nothing wrong.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And I'm sticking to it. Yes, and don't forget to follow us on our social medias, Twitter at PodcastCOJ, and on Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Hitler did nothing wrong.